My girlfriend slowly poisoned me with spicy food for months, gave me explosive diarrhea and acne. Then she left me for a throuple with the guy who taught her the recipes. Before I tell you what really happened, you need to understand where I was coming from. I was 25, working as a design engineer for Caterpillar's construction equipment division in Peoria, Illinois, pulling down $78,000 a year with full benefits and a company car. I had my own 3-bedroom house on Maple Street that I'd bought 2 years prior for $165. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. White picket fence, small garden out front where I grew tomatoes and basil, the whole American dream package. I thought I had my life completely under control. Sarah moved in with me that May. She was 23, worked as a jewelry designer for some boutique downtown, and we'd been together for 2.5 years at that point. She had this infectious laugh that could fill up a room, long brown hair that she'd twist around her finger when she was thinking, and this way of making even the most boring Tuesday feel like an adventure. We rarely fought. I mean, what couple doesn't have their moments? But we could talk through anything. At least, that's what I told myself. Our schedules worked out perfectly. She started work at 8 a.m. I didn't have to be at the office until 10. So every morning, I'd get up around 7:15. Make us both breakfast, usually scrambled eggs with toast. Sometimes pancakes on weekends, and we'd eat together before she headed out. She'd handle dinner when she got home at 4:30, giving her plenty of time to cook before I walked through the door at 7:45. It felt domestic and mature, like we were playing house but doing it right. Looking back now, the signs were there from week 1. Sarah liked her food spicy. I mean really spicy. She dumped sriracha on everything. Kept a collection of hot sauces in the fridge that looked like a chemistry set. I could handle some heat, but nothing like what she craved. The first few dinners she made were manageable, a little kick here and there. Nothing I couldn't deal with. But then it started escalating. By the 3rd week, we were eating Thai curries that made my eyes water, Mexican stews loaded with serrano peppers, even her pasta sauce came loaded with Calabrian chilies. 4, maybe 5 nights a week, I'd sit down to dinner and feel like my mouth was on fire before I'd finished half the plate. The heartburn started immediately. Then came the acne, angry red welts across my forehead and cheeks that made me look like a teenager going through puberty all over again. My co-workers started noticing. Jim from accounting actually asked if I was having an allergic reaction to something when he saw me in the break room. The worst part was the digestive issues, TMI, but I was having explosive diarrhea twice a week, sometimes more. I started keeping Tums in my desk drawer, my car, my jacket pocket. I'd pop antacids like candy just to make it through a workday, without my stomach feeling like it was eating itself from the inside. Sarah, I said one evening in late June, pushing around a bowl of what she called mild Indian curry that had enough cayenne to power a small rocket. Could you maybe tone down the spice a little? It's really messing with my system. She looked up from her bowl, where she was happily spooning in another helping. Just man up, babe. It's not even that hot. You need to adapt. Life's not always going to cater to your preferences. Man up. That phrase started haunting me. Every time I brought up the spice level, that's what I heard. Man up. Stop being such a baby. If Colin can handle it, why can't you? Colin, that name started popping up more and more in our conversations, though I didn't think much of it at the time. He worked with Sarah at the design studio. Apparently some hotshot who could eat ghost peppers like they were candy and had opinions about everything from Thai street food to Japanese cinema. Sarah would mention how Colin and his girlfriend Emma went to this amazing Sichuan place downtown, how they were planning a trip to India to experience authentic cuisine, how they both collected vintage horror movies and spent weekends at comic conventions. You should try to be more adventurous, Sarah would say, usually while I was reaching for my 3rd glass of milk to cool my burning tongue. Colin's always game for trying new things. In retrospect, I should have seen where this was heading, but I was 25 and in love, and I figured every couple had their adjustments to make. I tried suggesting compromises. Maybe she could make 2 portions, 1 mild and 1 spicy. Maybe she could add the heat to her plate after cooking. Maybe we could alternate between her spicy nights and my bland nights. Every suggestion was met with eye rolls and that same refrain, just adapt. The breaking point came on a Tuesday night in early July. I'd had a particularly brutal day at work. We were behind deadline on a new excavator design, and I'd spent 14 hours staring at CAD models and stress calculations. I walked through the front door at nearly 9 p.m., exhausted and starving, to find Sarah ladling what looked like molten lava into bowls. "What's for dinner?" I asked, dropping my laptop bag by the door and loosening my tie. "Thai red curry," she grinned like she was announcing we'd won the lottery. I used extra bird's eye chilies. Colin gave me this amazing paste from a place in Chicago. Of course Colin did. I sat down at our little dining table, the one we'd picked out together at IKEA, on a Saturday afternoon that felt like a lifetime ago, and took a bite. It was like swallowing napalm. My mouth immediately went numb, then started burning with the intensity of 1,000 suns. Tears streamed down my cheeks involuntarily. "I can't eat this," I gasped, reaching for the glass of water Sarah had set out, which did absolutely nothing to help. "Come on, don't be dramatic," she said, not even looking up from her bowl. She was eating it like it was chicken soup. "Sarah, I'm serious. This is literally inedible for me. I feel like I'm being poisoned." That's when she finally looked up, and the expression on her face wasn't concern or understanding. It was annoyance. Pure, undisguised annoyance. Like I was a difficult child throwing a tantrum in a restaurant. "Fine," she said, setting down her spoon with deliberate precision. "Just fill up on some plain pasta or something. I'm too tired to make you a separate meal." Something snapped in me right then. Maybe it was the exhaustion, maybe it was weeks of feeling like my own girlfriend was slowly killing me with her cooking. But I couldn't keep quiet anymore. "You know what? That's it. I'm making my own dinners from now on. This isn't working," she exploded. Not the kind of explosion where someone raises their voice and storms off. The kind where years of buried resentment comes pouring out like water from a broken dam. "If you're going to make your own dinners, then I'm making my own breakfasts, too," she snapped. "I don't have time to deal with your picky eating habits." I never said anything about breakfast. "I'm happy to keep making. And another thing," she cut me off, her voice getting higher and more shrill. "You never change into house clothes when you get home. You just sit down to eat in your work clothes like some kind of slob. And you get up later than me every morning, even though I'm the one with the early schedule." I stared at her, genuinely confused. "You've never mentioned any of this before. Where is this coming from? And you leave dishes in the sink overnight, and you never water the plants out front, and you watch tennis matches at full volume when I'm trying to read. And Sarah, stop. Just stop." My head was spinning. Where is all of this suddenly coming from? "You've never said a word about any of these things." She went quiet then, like someone had flipped a switch. The anger drained out of her face, replaced by something I couldn't quite read. "I need space," she said finally. "I don't want to talk to you right now." I ended up sleeping in the guest room that night, staring at the ceiling and trying to figure out what the hell had just happened. The next few days were like living with a polite stranger. We'd nod good morning, make our separate meals, eat at the same table in complete silence, then retreat to different rooms. It was the weirdest thing I had ever experienced, being lonely while living with someone you love. By Saturday, I couldn't take it anymore. "Want to go to brunch?" I asked, when I found her reading in the living room. "Maybe we could talk through whatever's going on." She agreed, though she seemed reluctant. We went to this place downtown that served amazing Belgian waffles, and for a brief moment, it felt almost normal. She laughed at something I said about our waitress's ridiculous fake eyelashes. She stole a piece of bacon off my plate like she always did. But the moment we got home, the wall went back up. "Can we please talk about what happened the other night?" I asked as we settled back into the living room. "Let's just forget it and move on," she said, not looking up from her book. "The system we have now is working fine." "Working fine?" "Sarah, we're living like roommates. We don't talk, we don't eat together. We barely even look at each other. How is that working fine?" "It's working fine for me," she said, finally meeting my eyes. "Why can't you just be happy that I'm happy?" "Because I'm not happy. I can't just ignore my own feelings and pretend everything's okay when it's not." That's when she said it, the words that still echo in my head when I'm trying to fall asleep at night. "Why can't you be more like Colin?" The room went dead silent. I could hear the neighbor's dog barking outside, the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, the blood rushing in my ears. "Who the hell is Colin?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. She clamped up immediately, like she'd accidentally revealed state secrets. It took me 20 minutes of pressing to get the full story out of her. Colin worked at her studio. Colin had a girlfriend named Emma. Colin and Emma were perfect together because they liked all the same things: spicy food, horror movies, cosplay, international travel, craft beer, vintage vinyl records. Colin and Emma never fought about stupid things like spice levels or house clothes or morning schedules because they were completely compatible in every way. "So you want me to become Colin?" I said when she finished her explanation. "I want US to have what they have, she said, like it was the most reasonable request in the world. Sarah, all relationships are different. The only thing that matters is whether we love each other and make each other happy. Do we do that? She went quiet again, that same wall slamming down between us. I'm not comfortable talking about this with you, she said finally. If you're not going to talk to me about this, who are you going to talk to? I'm staying at Lisa's tonight, she said, already heading for the bedroom to pack a bag. We'll talk tomorrow. She left, and I spent the rest of the evening researching couples therapist online. I found 3 in our area with good reviews, bookmarked their websites, and started mentally preparing for what felt like a last-ditch effort to save my relationship. Sunday morning, I woke up to find her already home, sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee, and this expression I'd never seen before, like someone who'd made a decision they weren't sure they could take back. I made breakfast for both of us out of habit, scrambled eggs with chives from the garden, wheat toast with butter, fresh orange juice. She didn't touch any of it. I already ate at Lisa's, she said when I set the plate in front of her. Okay, I said, sitting down across from her with my own breakfast. You want to talk now? I've been thinking about us, she started, not meeting my eyes. About how bad I've been to you. About how you deserve so much better than what I've been giving you. Something cold settled in my stomach. This didn't sound like an apology. This sounded like a breakup speech disguised as self-awareness. Sarah, just tell me what's going on. She took a deep breath, like she was about to jump off a cliff. Colin and Emma approached me yesterday. They want me to join their relationship as a throuple. The words hit me like a physical blow. I sat there for what felt like hours, but was probably only 30 seconds, trying to process what she just said. Pack your things, I said finally, and give me my keys before you leave. Wait, let me explain. There's nothing to explain. I stood up from the table, my legs feeling like they might give out underneath me. Pack your things and get out of my house. She tried to hug me, actually reached for me like nothing had changed, like she hadn't just told me she wanted to be in a relationship with 2 other people. I pushed her away and walked to the guest room, slamming the door behind me. I don't know how long I cried. Long enough that when she knocked on the door 30 minutes later, my eyes were swollen shut and I could barely breathe through my nose. I'm leaving, she said through the door. But I want you to know that I love you, and I'm sorry, and you deserve so much better than me. Your tears don't mean anything to me, I said, which was cruel, but felt necessary. That night, my phone rang at 11:47 p.m. Unknown number. Is this the asshole who made Sarah cry? The voice was male, aggressive, with a slight Chicago accent. Who is this? This is Colin, you piece of shit. If I ever see you anywhere near her again, I'll fuck you up so bad your own mother won't recognize you. You can have her, I said, and hung up. 2 days later, I walked out to my car to find furlong scratches keyed down the driver's side, and all the tomato plants in my front garden had been ripped up and scattered across the driveway. I called the police, but without security footage or witnesses, there wasn't much they could do. I installed cameras that weekend. Sarah kept calling for the first week. The voicemails were apologetic. She was sorry, she just wanted to talk. She needed closure. She missed me. When I didn't call back, the messages got darker. She started bringing up things I told her in confidence. My panic attacks in college. My complicated relationship with my father. The fact that I was estranged from most of my family. She told me about all the times Colin and Emma had been over to my house when I was at work. What they'd done in my living room, my kitchen, my bedroom. Listening to those messages felt like being disemboweled with a rusty spoon. I trusted her with the most vulnerable parts of myself, and she was weaponizing them to hurt me as deeply as possible. That's when I started having what my therapist calls intrusive thoughts. Nothing I'm proud of, nothing I'd ever act on, but dark enough that they scared me into making an appointment with Dr. Martinez the next day. It's normal, she told me during our first session, sitting in her office that smelled like lavender and had too many plants. When someone we trust betrays us this completely, it's normal for our brain to go to some very dark places. The important thing is that you recognized it and came here instead of sitting alone with those thoughts. I've been seeing Dr. Martinez twice a week for the past month now. We talk about boundaries, about red flags I missed, about why I stayed quiet so long, about something that was literally making me sick. We talk about trust, about how to rebuild it, about how long it might take before I'm ready to date again. My friends Jake and Marcus have been incredible through all of this. They showed up at my house the day after Sarah left with beer, pizza, and stayed until 2 a.m. just letting me vent. They're the ones who convinced me to book that weekend trip to Vegas. We're leaving Friday morning, and I'm looking forward to 3 days of complete distraction. I'm thinking about selling the house. Every room has memories I'm not ready to deal with yet. The kitchen where we used to eat breakfast together. The guest room where I slept alone for a week. The bedroom where she probably brought Colin in. Emma while I was designing hydraulic systems and thinking about what to make for dinner. My realtor thinks I could get $190,000 for it in the current market. Maybe more if I'm willing to wait. Work has been offering internal transfers, and there's an opening in their Denver office that sounds promising. Different state, different time zone, different everything. I'm also worried about Sarah sharing my address with my family. We've been no contact for 3 years now, and I'd like to keep it that way. Starting fresh somewhere new sounds more appealing every day. The strangest part is how normal everything feels now. I wake up in the morning and make myself breakfast, just scrambled eggs. No hot sauce anywhere in sight. I come home from work and cook dinner, usually something simple like grilled chicken and rice, maybe a salad. No fire, no heartburn, no rushing to the bathroom 20 minutes later. My skin has cleared up completely. I sleep through the night without stomach cramps. It's been almost a month since she left, and I'm just starting to remember what it feels like to be comfortable in my own body again, to eat a meal without pain, to trust that the person cooking for me isn't slowly poisoning me, whether they mean to or not. I don't think there will be any more updates after this. Hopefully my life gets boring for a while. Boring sounds pretty good right now. Thanks to everyone who helped me see that wanting to eat food that doesn't make me sick isn't being picky or dramatic. Sometimes the people who claim to love us are the ones hurting us the most, and it takes losing them to realize how much damage they were doing. I'm going to be okay. It might take a while, but I'm going to be okay. What did you think of this story? What advice would you give to the person in question? Let me know in the comments. I'm always reading what you have to say. If this story got you hooked, even for a second, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And seriously, don't leave yet. The videos on your screen are just as crazy, emotional, or even more unexpected. Go ahead, click one and keep watching. You won't regret it.